Right, so we're going to do our first quiz review, and my suggestion to you is that you try each problem on your own, and then you use this video to help you see how you did. And then if you got an answer wrong, you'll be able to hear an explanation of how to get to the correct answer. All right, so let's start with number 1. It says evaluate f of 4 to the nearest tenth when f of x equals 3.2x squared minus 9.3x plus 1. So I'm going to be doing some substitution where I put a 4 in for x. So what I'm going to be doing is taking 3.2 times 4 squared minus 9.3 times 4 plus 1. I'm going to go ahead and just put this into my graphing calculator. Right, so I've entered this into my graphing calculator, and enter, and I get 15. So I write 15 down as my first answer. All right, that brings me to number 2. If g of x equals negative 3 times x squared plus 5, what is g at 3t? Which means I'm going to take 3t and I'm going to substitute it wherever I see an x. But negative 3 times 3t squared plus 5. Now, order of operations tells me that I'm going to square the 3t first and then multiply it by the negative 3. Don't multiply first. You do exponents before multiplication. So I end up with negative 3 times 9t squared plus 5. Then when I multiply that, I get my final answer of negative 27t squared plus 5. All right, in 3 and 4, use the graph at the right, which shows that the line y equals negative 2, so this must be at negative 2, this must be negative 1, negative 2, is a horizontal asymptote. An asymptote is really, it's an imaginary line. It's not actually drawn on the graph, but we draw it as a dotted line to show that it's where this line gets really close to but never touches. I know it looks like they're intersecting right here, but they're actually not. It's just that this exponential function gets so close that it looks like it's on the line y equals negative 2, but it's actually just really, really close to it. So give what seems to be the domain and range of the function. Right, so domain are my x values. So I'm going to look at the graph from left to right, and it keeps going this direction, and it keeps going this direction, left and right, so it goes on and on forever in both directions, so that means all real numbers. The range looks like it's at negative 2 and below, so I could say that y, now since it never actually touches this line, I have to say less than negative 2. I can't put an equal sign with that. If I wanted to use bracket notation, I would say that it began at negative infinity and it went to negative 2. Notice soft brackets on both because you can't ever reach negative infinity and you can't ever reach the negative 2 because it's an asymptote. Back up here with domain, if I want to write all reals in bracket notation, I would just say from negative infinity to infinity. And with infinity, you always use soft brackets. All right, number 4. As it appears, what makes the graph a function as opposed to a relation that is not a function? Well, when I look at a graph, the easiest way to know if it's a function is to do the vertical line test. And if I do that vertical line test, it only ever goes through one point, so that's why it passes the vertical line test. Alright, let's go to number 5. Use the table at the right that reports freshman fall enrollment in degree granting institutions. Find a linear model for it. So linear model, so we're going to do linear regression for the relationship between x equals the number of years after 1999. That's really important. They're not starting at 2000 for X. I'm not really sure why. I think it's mostly because they want to make sure we're reading the problem carefully. So X is the number of years after 1999. So when I go to enter this data into the calculator, this is of course going to be my X, or my independent. It's going to be the year. Time is typically independent. And the number of freshmen is going to be my Y, or my dependent. And since it's years after 1999, I'm not going to enter the year 2000. I'm going to enter 1, because that would be 1 year after 1999. This would be 2, 3, 4, and 5. So when I actually put the data into my calculator, this would be my list 1, this would be my list 2. So let's go ahead and we're going to enter that data into the calculator. Alright, so I entered the data into the calculator, and now I'm going to go to Stat, and Calc, choose Linear Regression. I check and make sure this is list 1, list 2, and I calculate. And I'm going to continue, well, I don't have to take it to 3 decimal places here, because it doesn't go out that far. And I'm going to write my answer down now. And so I get Y equals 7,623.7x plus 296,700.7. X is years since 1999, and Y is freshman. Alright, next one says, use your model from part A to estimate the number of freshmen enrolling in 2007. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and do a substitution. I've got to think to myself, in 2007, that would be 8 years after 1999. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put an 8 in here for X, and I'm going to find Y. So I'll do that substitution. I'm going to use my calculator. And when I do that, I get 357,690.3. Right. Letter C asks, is your estimate in part B an interpolation or an extrapolation? Well, 2007 is beyond the data, and since it's beyond, it's extra, so it's extrapolation or extrapolation. Right. Letter D asks us to calculate the residual for 2002. Now the time that I'm assigning this, I might not have taught residuals yet, but by the time maybe you do the quiz review, we will have learned about residuals. A residual is another word for error. It's wanting to know, okay, we made a prediction. Well, what kind of an error? Like, how much are we off by? And so the residual is always the actual data minus the predicted. And it has to be in that order. So residual is always actual minus predicted. Well, the actual amount for 2002 is 318,982. The predicted value, I'm going to put a 3 into this equation right here. I'm going to use my calculator to do that. I'm going to go ahead and put a 3 in there. And when I do that, I get 319,571.8. So I'm going to take actual minus predicted, and when I do that, I get negative 589.8. And the last question on this side is, what is the correlation coefficient for the line? So I need to go back to my calculator, So when I go back to my calculator and I look for the correlation coefficient, I remember that correlation coefficient is the R value, not R squared, simply R, and R equals 0.98. That's my correlation coefficient, which means there is a strong positive correlation between the number of years and the freshmen enrolling. So as the years increase, the freshman enrollment increases. All right, so let's look at the back page of the quiz review. It says in 8 through 11, suppose the linear relation is used to model the data in a given scatter plot. So we're looking to see if there is a linear relation. State whether the correlation coefficient is likely to be negative. That would mean it was a decreasing linear relationship. Positive, meaning an increasing linear relationship. Or approximately 0, meaning it doesn't look like there's a linear relationship at all. All right, so let's look at these. Now, none of them are really great, perfect lines, but I would say that 3 of them, you could draw a line of best fit. And that would be 8, 9, and 11. 10, I really couldn't because it looks like a quadratic, actually. If I drew the line going down, I'd miss all these points. If I drew the line going up, I'd miss all these points. So as far as the linear relationship, this one doesn't have one. So I would say number 10 is approximately 0. All right, and then number 8. If I drew my line of best fit, it would be going in an increasing direction, so I'm going to say that this one is positive. Number 9, the data looks like it's going down, so it's decreasing, so it's negative. And number 11, even though it's a curve, it looks more exponential to me. It's still increasing from left to right, which means that it's positive. And then let's look at number 1. Number 1 says, suppose R is a correlation coefficient for a line of best fit. Give each value the greatest possible value for R. Right, let's first draw a number line, and I'm going to show you the number line for R goes from -1 to +1. And you have a strong relationship. The closer, here's where it's going to be strong. And right here, there's no relationship, but close to it, it's going to be weak. Like right here, here, and no relationship. Right here, it's 0. So what's the greatest possible value for R? Well, it's 1. There's no number on this number line higher than 1. What's the least possible value for R? Well, -1. The greatest possible value for R squared. Well, when you square a bigger number, you get a bigger number. So if you square 1, you get 1. If you square -1, you get 1. Either way, 1. The least possible value for R squared. Well, in here I have decimals, and when I square them, I'm going to get a decimal answer. For instance, if I had 0.5 and I square 0.5, I get 0.25. Over here, if I square -0.5, I get 0.25, because a negative times a negative is a positive. If I square 0, I get 0, which is the least possible value for R squared. You will never get a negative value for R squared, because when you square a negative, it becomes positive, because a negative times a negative is a positive.